Hey guys, Mr. Amari here again with another photo tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to do a simple object replacement in someone's hand. I'm going to show you how to take someone holding something and how to make it look convincing that you're switching out that they're holding something else that's completely different. It's not as hard as it seems. There's one or two techniques you can use, and you can easily make something that's pretty convincing when it comes to replacing an object in a person's hand in a photo. So let's get to our program and let's see how it's done. So like with all our other photo tutorials, we're going to be using Pixlr again. That's pixlr.com. And then we're going to be picking Advanced Pixlr E. So as you can see, I've picked a photo here where we have a person holding an object in their hand. We have a basketball player holding a basketball in their hand. And this is a nice, very dramatic sports shot. And what I can do is I can go ahead and I can actually use some of the techniques we already know from previous tutorials. And we can go ahead and take this basketball and replace it with any other object we want. So first we have to figure out what's the object that we want to replace it with. Now I went ahead and I decided the first thing I wanted to try to replace it with was the moon. So I got a nice big picture of the moon where it has no background. You can see that we have this kind of checkerboard pattern in the background. That's Pixlr's way, and really any photo editing software's way of letting us know that there's no colored background behind it. One of the ways I make sure that I have an image with no background is I use either Google Image Search or Bing Image Search a lot. So one of the ways to find an image that has no background or has a transparent background. So one way of doing it is opening up your search engine of choice, going to the image section. So when you're searching for the object that you want to have with no background, easy way of doing this is putting the object. So let's say I want to put globe, and then I put PNG. Now PNG is file type. Basically what this usually means is that it's created without having any sort of background to it. It doesn't always mean that, but it's a good way of narrowing down the types of pictures you can find that have those transparent backgrounds. JPEGs will almost always have the white background because what a JPEG does is it compresses everything down into this one image, whereas a PNG usually retains some sort of layers. So I go globe PNG, and now you can see I have all of these seem to have a white background. Now when I click on it though, you'll see in the preview that white background turns into that transparent checkerboard. This is how you know that it does not have a white background. If in the preview it has a white background and then you click on it and then it has the transparent background, you're good to go. At that point, all you have to do is save your image like you would normally save and then import it into your program. So let's get back to our program and see how we can go ahead about putting the moon into this gentleman's hand instead of this basketball. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to first bring the other element into the picture. So we're gonna have two elements in this picture. We're gonna have the basketball player with the background, and we're gonna have the moon that we're putting into his hand, right? So the first things first is we're gonna take this moon element. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take my marquee select tool, or actually, yeah, I'm gonna take my marquee select tool, select everything, hit edit, hit copy, go back over here, hit edit, hit paste. Now obviously it's way too big, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my arrange tool, I'm going to go up to edit, I'm going to go up to free transform. Now we've used this a lot before. Free transform allows us to change the size and shape of the object. Now when you do that though, this is so big that the boxes for the free transform is off the screen. All you need to do is use your arrange tool to drag it until you see that box. And then you're going to grab one of these small blue bounding boxes, click and hold, and then bring it in until it's around the size and shape you want it to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the basketball as our guide here. Since we're using objects that are roughly the same shape, I'm just going to make sure that this is going to cover the basketball. All right, so pretty much there we go. We have our moon the size of the basketball. Now obviously this doesn't look great. This doesn't look convincing. This doesn't look like it's actually him holding the moon, right? So there's one thing we can do to really sell this though, and that is to create overlapping elements. Now the thing that makes this look more three-dimensional and make it look like he's holding the basketball here is the fact that his hand is overlapping onto the basketball. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to recreate that with the moon. Now the easiest way to do that is to recreate the hand and put it on top of the moon. what we're going to do is we're going to go to our lasso tool, and we're going to go to the tool we've been using pretty much every tutorial, our polygon lasso tool. And we're going to zoom in a little bit on the hand here. We're going to make sure we select our background layer, because the background layer is the one we're dealing with here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just make an outline around just the parts that are overlapping with the ball. I don't need to do his whole arm. I don't need to do his whole hand. I just need to get the parts where it's overlapping the ball. So I really just need to get the knuckles and the fingers here. So again, with the polygon lasso tool, when you click our left button, and then it creates a pivot point so that I can create a straight line off that pivot point. And what that allows me to do is make a line as short or as long as I want, and click the button again to make another pivot point. So I can, even though this is doing just straight lines, create a curve to go around curved objects. It makes it a lot more accurate and makes it a lot easier to do it step by step and do it slowly. The main thing with lassoing anything out is go slow, especially when you're first starting. If you don't go slow, you're going to create a lot of accidents, you're going to create a lot of mistakes, and you're not going to get great results, and you're going to have to wind up cleaning it up later. You'll also notice though that I went ahead and I'm not only lassoing the fingers, I'm trying to get the shadow in between the fingers in there too. That's really going to help sell the fact that he's holding something, right? Is if we have the shadow of his hand kind of casting onto the new object, that's going to make it look all the more real. So we're going to try to retain those shadows if possible. We really want to make it look like he's coming into contact with this moon that we're creating. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go around the fingers here. Now the best part about this is, unlike previous exercises, we don't really have to go around the entire object. All I have to do is get to a point where it's not overlapping the ball anymore and just close my loop. So all I'm going to make a copy of is that section of his hand. So once we have this lassoed out, I'm going to go to edit, I'm going to go to copy, then I'm going to go to edit, I'm going to go to paste. And you'll notice it makes a copy on a new layer of that section of the hand. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take the hand here, I'm going to line it up so it disappears. So it just lines up perfectly with the original picture. So can't see any seams, can't see anything. Like, it just looks like it's the normal picture, right? You're probably wondering, why on earth would we do that? Why would we make it, all that trouble to make the copy if it's just going to blend right in? Well, the reason we're doing that is so that you notice how the moon in our layers tab here is in between this layer with the hand and this layer that's the background. So if I go to my moon layer, go to my arrange tool, and move the moon over, I can slide it right in there, and it's sandwiched in between. Again, we have the hand on top here, we have the background under here, and the moon is in between, almost like a sandwich. Now, once you do this, you'll probably notice that I have some jagged, pointy edges on the fingers. That's okay. What we can do is I can just zoom in, and I can use my eraser tool on my top layer here to kind of clean that up. Now, you got to be really careful with this, because you want to make sure your brush size is very small when you're zoomed in like this. Notice how big my brush size is. If I were to erase it, it would take the whole finger off. So of course I don't want to do that. We're going to go to the top left here and make my brush size way smaller, like 3 pixels or 8 pixels. Let's see if that's actually small enough. Yeah, that should be close enough. And so I'm going to round off these pointy parts here. I'm just going to use the edge. Notice I'm just getting the edge of that circle in there. It's like using the edge of your pencil eraser to just get a little bit erased. I'm going to go ahead and just going to round those off. I'm going to click and hold and drag slowly. And again, really the trick here, go slowly. Don't rush. If you rush, you're going to get bad results and you're not going to be happy with what you have. And it's just going to take you more time if you rush, because you're going to have to go back and fix it again. Okay, almost done with this. And again, it's not perfect. It's not the best composite, but it's not bad. It looks pretty convincing, especially since we have the shadow on the arm here, kind of matches up with where the moon is, and the shadow in between the fingers really helps sell it too. So we have a pretty convincing photo composite that gives us more humorous picture. The best part is once you have that kind of figured out, I can go ahead, I can grab any round object here, and I can go ahead and I can import that in. Now, one of the nice things Pixlr has is, let's say you find an image, and then you do what's called open. You can go like in Bing, you can open the image and it opens it in a brand new tab. This is the web URL of that image. So instead of saving it on my computer and opening it up in Pixlr again, I can just copy this URL, go to Pixlr over here. When I go to File, I can go to Open Image URL, and that'll actually pull the image straight from the web address if I just paste it in there. That's how I actually did both of these photos, is I went ahead and I found a web image. So again, I can go ahead, take my marquee select, go ahead and put it around, hit edit, hit copy, edit, hit paste, edit, free transform, get it down to about the right size. And again, we put it in between the layers here. And now you don't want to have it like overlap so that it shows the seam. See how it shows the seam there? We don't want to do that. We want to do it so it just kind of disappears right there into his hand. And literally any rounded object you can put in his hand, you can go ahead and make it so that that's what he's dunking. That's how to do a basic object replacement to make it look like someone's holding it, and really sell it by doing overlapping elements here, by having elements that you are copying from one layer and layering it on top of a new object. Really, it's an easy way to do this. You can do a lot of fun pictures this way, and it can be really, really just a very creative tool to use. So I hope this was useful for you guys. I hope you have some fun with it, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next week.